Good morning. This is Rachel, the Modern Shaman, and I'm here for a Q&A time. So I'm just going to jump right into the question and let's see where it goes. So this question was sent to me. It says, what is the best way to start meditating? I'm new to the process and would love some advice. Okay. Sorry. There we go. Here's the question. I did a video, sorry guys, I did a video not too long ago, well maybe a few months back, about different types of meditation and kind of the three main ways to meditate. I also used to teach a class called Variations in Meditation because I feel like a lot of people get hung up on this idea that meditation is supposed to look a certain way and be experienced in a certain way, and like Buddha on the mountaintop, and if you can't get there, or if your mind is racing or your mind is doing something else, that it's not effective, or that you can't do it, or you haven't had success. When this is not true. There's lots of forms of meditation. The term meditation just means singular pointed focus. So anytime that you are in a state of very pointed, singular focus on one thing, you're in a state of meditation. You're meditating on that thing. You're meditating in that moment. And to move yourself there, there's lots of ways to do that. And I encourage people to play around with it. If they get bored, you may be meditating in one way for a few years and just feel like you're not motivated anymore to meditate in that way. So it's useful to kind of have a little tool belt of all these different ways that you can connect and feel connected to spirit and feel expansive and feel like you're spiritually growing in order to continue to grow and learn and have fun while you're doing it. Therefore have motivation to do it. So if it's not enjoyable to you, a lot of times we don't have any motivation to keep it up. So that being said, I'll go over a few different types. Before I do all of these types of meditation, the way that I would suggest getting into them, and this is just my suggestion, you'll need to feel into what feels right for you, but the way that I would get into them is I would sit on the floor. I like the feeling of being on the floor because it's a very grounded energy, and when you're connecting with spirit, a lot of times you're utilizing your higher level chakras, and so it's beneficial to also feel the polaric pull to the earth. So being on the ground kind of balances you in that way. Now, not all of these are done sitting down, but it is helpful to me if I'm in the position of sitting on the floor. And I don't do lotus pose because I don't like my feet up on my knees because I like my feet touching the floor. Again, to be grounded. That's just me. But that's the position I like. Also, I like having my shoulders, my elbows, and my hips in one line. That to me is the most relaxed posture. It's not like stiff, and it's not carrying energy in one space more than the other. It's just holding that open kind of kundalini line, that open prana tube, your spine, if you will, energetically, to feel very easily the movement of energy up and down your chakras. So shoulders, elbows, hips in alignment. My palms stay open. This is just me, but I hold an open palm when I'm in an energy of receiving. When I am giving, I usually do my palms down. So if I'm channeling or trying to give via spirit, if I'm healing, if I'm doing something, I will use my hands in direction. If I am open to receiving, I have my palms open. It's just my signal. So here's some different forms. There's mantra meditation, which is just repeating a phrase over and over and over, repeating a word over and over and over. There is present awareness meditation, which is when you're in a moment that feels overwhelming or chaotic, to center in using your 5 senses in the moment and noticing everything that's in that immediate now. So for instance, if I'm in a grocery store, and I felt kind of like, oh, there's too much energy in here, it feels chaotic, it feels overwhelming, I would pull into myself, do a few centering breaths, and when I'm breathing, I breathe in through my nose, because you can move the energy easier. So you feel where the air is going. So when I breathe in through my nose, I feel the air in my chest, my heart chakra, or I can move it anywhere that needs to go. If I'm feeling tension in my shoulders, I may push the air out of my shoulders, like evaporating air, like it's dissipating out of that area that feels tension. So again, present mindfulness meditation, if I'm in the grocery store, I would do a few breaths, and then I would use my senses to notice what's going on around me. I would say, I hear the shopping carts rolling back and forth behind me. I feel the cold metal on my hands as I touch the shopping cart. I smell cantaloupe as I watch that woman walk past with the fresh fruit. I notice the conveyor belt. I notice the sound on the intercom. And I'm just noticing things in this moment, but it's pulling me into a very centered now moment. And so my point of focus is in the now. It's very calming, and it moves you very much into your body instead of up in your head when you feel chaotic. Another is just guided meditation. There's a ton of these on YouTube. Some people do these, live, where you're basically, again, sitting in a posture that's relaxing to you. And then you're using your internal sight, your third eye, your imagination to visualize a certain setting, a certain experience, and to let your mind move into very pointed focus with that experience. So you're just having a very specific experience, being aligned with it in that moment. Sorry, my note keeps falling over. There's visual meditation, which would be looking at something, a piece of art, a candle, a movie screen, an object, a person, looking in someone else's eyes, whatever it may be, and being completely enraptured in that object, in that visual meditation. So just fully taking it in. I love to do this with artwork. So if you go to an art museum, sculpture, this is what people do. They just stand and stare at it, and they just absorb it. They're just taking it in. But that is all they're focused on for that 5 minutes. Another thing I will say is when you do meditations, especially if you're starting out, I encourage you to use a timer, because it turns off that mental place in your mind where you're worried about time, or you're thinking, how long is this taking? When is it going to be over? Do I need to keep checking the clock? You're like in that mental mind. So just to set your timer, and if you've never done meditation before, start with just 5 minutes. Again, you don't want it to feel arduous. You don't want to be like straining with the time essence of meditation. So start with 5, then go to 10, 15, 20, as it feels like you want to spend more time in it. Keep going into more time. It should never feel painful or like scratching nails on a chalkboard. There's also sound meditation. People that are musicians and things like this, this would be a great channel for you. If you're naturally connected to spirit, like you are passionate about music, you love sounds, you love music in general, and you feel connected in that way, then that's probably an easy way for you to start meditating. So sound meditations, they can be mantra sounds like the or they have all different sorts of sounds that you can make that align you with certain vibrational frequencies, with certain chakras energetically in the body. It goes on and on. There's also binaural beats. If you're not familiar with binaural beats, that is, you have to have headphones, but that's in essence creating a sound frequency within your mind, because your mind is not able to, our ears cannot have two different frequencies in them without trying to harmonize them. We're a harmonizing body. So Binaural Beats creates a specific frequency in your mind by putting two different frequencies, one in each ear, and it causes your brain to create the differential frequency. So essentially it forces your brain to make a certain frequency by putting, say, 10 megahertz in this one and 15 megahertz in this one. Your brain will make up the 5, will make up the difference. So your brain will start creating its own frequency of 5 megahertz. So if you're wanting to tune in to a certain frequency for healing, a frequency for connecting with your angelic body, a frequency for whatever. These are all measured frequencies. You can use binaural beats to move your alignment with that. Drumming, that's another one. Shamanic drumming, moving yourself into vibrational alignment with a certain beat. It just zones you out. Essentially, that is full alignment with a beat. That's pointed, focused, meditational focus just on a beat. And that moves you out of your mental mind and more into your spirit body. Kind of creates a trance type state. Moves you into a, well, it depends on what it's used for, but it can move you into physical movement, like if you want to dance. That's another way. It's physical meditation, walking, yoga, dancing, qigong, tai chi, all of these different types. There's also just eating and smelling, using your senses when you're eating, like a tea meditation where you're using all of your senses. You're feeling the heat with your coffee or your tea. You're smelling it. You're being very present, using your present moment senses to meditate only on one object, whether it's what you're eating, then you're tasting, you're noticing every single herb, every single just thing that was put into that to create that food. You're noticing the energy in that food. You're noticing how your body digests it, how your body appreciates it, where your body moves it to. It can be very impactful just to do that every time you eat. To say, okay, maybe I don't have time to meditate all during the day, but I have to eat, and I know I'm going to eat, so I'm going to be conscious during that time to actually be present with my senses of what this is that I'm taking into my body, how my body receives it, how I feel when I receive it, all of these senses, the smell, the taste, the texture, the sound, all of it. Then there's meditations which are, out of body meditations, where you're essentially kind of in hypnosis, putting your physical body, your conscious self, to sleep while your spirit body astral travels or remote views or goes into a past life. It's the space kind of in between dreaming and awakeness. Then there's also meditations that are connecting to other beings, like channeling, when you are setting out to talk to someone that's passed, talk to an angel, talk to a guide, talk to a galactic being, talk to your higher self, anything like that. It's a sense of very pointed focus, very centered intention to connect with a certain person, a certain moment, a certain whatever it may be, and then channeling it, either letting it play itself through your mind, writing it down on a piece of paper. But it's just, again, a very pointed, focused time, because that's what meditation is. So I encourage you, I know I mentioned just like a whole plethora of ways, but what I encourage you to do is really to feel into where you feel intuitively drawn to, what sounds interesting to you, what sounds fun, what sounds like, I could do that, I could do that. I could sit and listen to music and just be present with the music. Or I could dance, I could let interpretive dancing, I could sit in my closet and let that energy move through me to where I just felt completely in alignment with the moment. Whatever it is that feels drawn to you, or just sitting and breathing and being conscious of your breath, counting your breath. Whatever you feel drawn to, start with that. And start with that in a small amount of time, 5 minutes, and be at peace with that, and then continue as you feel motivation to continue. Okay, I gotta go before it's too long. Love you guys.